And we're going to pause straight off the bat in game number 3 of this best of 3. And well, looks like we're getting a quick second just to see how things are going. Of course we know their spawn positions, but I'm just going to wait to do the introductions. 4-second pause, don't see those too often. Anyway, spawning down in the lower left hand position, representing Neurosoft, we have got the purple Zerg player, Roof. And his opponent down to the lower right. The red Zerg representing Team Liquid, Snute. Snute won game number 1, but game number 2, he had a bit of a tough time because he got caught somewhat off guard by a very nice timing out of Roof and just got overwhelmed, not with the first push but with the second one after losing just too many workers from the initial aggression. This game, of course, we're on Frost. Unfortunately for the players, they've both sent their overlords north rather than into the cross spawn, so won't get the early scout down. And yeah, this just means that they're not really going to know where each other are because cross spawns is possible. Still, both just droning frantically. No early pulls, no super early aggression going to be coming down. And so the big question we're looking for is, will it be hatch first? Considering it was a hatch first on merry-go-round, wouldn't be at all surprised, but actually, okay, for a second I thought Roof was going to prove me wrong. It's actually going to be Snute doing that though. He starts up, bad spawning pool, and yeah, this is, to be honest, all fine. Snute probably just playing this safe in case a cheese is coming, because it's something you can see early on, is if you're up against a player who isn't particularly confident, and I'm not saying Roof would be in that spot, cheesing is a great way to try and get that quick win. But even if you are confident, cheesing can actually be a great way to get a quick, fast game. Brilliant example of that is, for example, Jack G. Jack G will proxy 2 racks, if the map allows it, in game 3 of a best of 3. Is that what he feels like? And that's real confidence, knowing I can micro this well, I can go for it, and my opponent may not expect me to do it because most people wouldn't have the balls to go all in with a cheese in game 3. But pointless talking about it because it's not something we've got going on. Instead, both players just Roof trickling the gas. Snute hasn't yet taken an extractor. Waiting to see the timing on that, and it is actually really important because it's possible to go gasless in ZvZ early on, but generally you see a hatch first if players are going to do that, so good to see Snute doing this. But it's worth noting that Roof, he should pretty much have 100 gas by the time Snute starts mining any, and that's actually adding in quite a big delay in terms of speed timings. So if there was an aggressive play out of Roof, which we have seen game after game he does like doing, that's when you can start seeing some cool stuff go on. So a couple of lings here for Snute, just going to start poking and prodding around. Forced to retreat from Roof Zerglings. He gets the first shots off, so Snute just committing here, trying to get the drone kill, but should just run on by and try and get some scouts. Sees the simmering in the spawning pool, sees 3 drones and gas. That's the scout he's looking for. Wants to know, okay, when was that gas taken? Am I behind on speed? And will there be more tech following this up anytime soon? To all of those questions, it's yes. And that's fine for Snute, because if you know it's coming, you can prepare for it and try and counter it. Speed should get side up for Snute surely. He has gone over the gas needed. May just be... what's he waiting for? Okay. Not quite sure what Snute's waiting for. Could go for a baiting nest first, although it's not super common, especially when you could get both. Actually going for the lair, okay. This is pretty funky, a super fast lair coming down. The concern is what Roof's doing. He's pumping out a lot of speedlings. Add in the fact that he's got the baneling nest coming down. This could be a big speedling baneling play to do a lot of damage immediately. If Snute goes for the triple wall off though at the front, 2 evos and a roach one, or yep, he is going to do that. Sits himself in a spot where he's actually really safe. He's seen all of these lings coming. The downside for Snute is there's a lot here. He needs to use these queens really well. They don't have enough energy for a transfuse, although they will do shortly, and that can buy him some more time with this wall off. With the early lair, he gets an early +1, and he actually cancels one of those Evos. Okay. Why is he cancelling that? Did he see... He shouldn't have been able to see anything else. He may have seen the Banelings morphing. I can't remember exactly where they were morphing, if it was within Snoot's vision. But regardless, still just keeping a good little eye on everything coming here. Third Queen, coming back down after injecting, just in case these Lings try to go for the play. But how Roof is responding to this is ideal. He's saying, okay, I'm forcing you to turtle up a lot. I'm containing you on 2 bases. So what I'll do is I'll take my third. By taking that, I know I'm getting an advantage over you. He's also adding in 2 additional gases. Snute, though, he's going up to 4. He's going to be pumping out a lot of roaches. But that can already be seen. You know that something's being researched by this roach run. Even though the lair hasn't been scouted, the roach run can only be researching something off of lair tech. So you know that Snute has invested heavily into lair very early on. And that's knowledge, and knowledge really is power. +1 coming down now for Roof. A long way behind that of Snoot's though. He's about 80 odd seconds behind, which is really substantial. Few Zerglings get in. They don't actually manage to kill any drones though, so no economic damage done. Instead, just forcing a bit of a panic out of Snoop. Snoop, he knows his opponent's third is finished. He sees a bit of creep spread there. Whereas, obviously, his own third base is quite delayed. So this is where we're getting the kind of advantages on both sides, and actually a very interesting game. Because if one player is just ahead overall, it's quite easy to start saying, okay, they're in a good spot. But what we've actually got is now an economic lead for Roof. Despite being down a bit in workers, his third base is up quicker, so he should be able to turn that into an economic lead. But he's down in upgrades and down in tech. His road speed's a lot later. So in theory, if Snoop were to get aggressive, he could cause some pain over at this third base. But this is the stage of the game, around the kind of 9-10 minute mark, where defender's advantage can be real big. You don't have an overwhelming force, you don't have a maxed out force. And therefore, just being able to pump out reinforcements as you're moving across the map can really just give you that 1 or 2 additional units that actually swings the fights in your favour. +1, about 30 seconds off for Roof at the moment. Meanwhile, Snoot, he's adding in more roaches. His drone count is looking really solid, and Roof hasn't been droning. He's just pumping a lot of roaches out. Starting to turn into a decent supply lead, but remember, when you're going mass roaches, a small supply lead actually isn't that many units. And +2 really can make a big difference. So these timings are going to be very intriguing. See when Roof decides to go for this. Pumping only roaches, he's going to move soon. Moving out with +1 should hit before Snoot has +2. Like miles, it's 100 seconds in game before Snoot gets his +2 attack. He does have a spine though. Does he have any queens with transfuse energy? It looks like no. Concave is therefore going to be very important for Snoot. He needs to buy more time. Adds in a couple more roaches here. Going to be taking this fight. The spine going to be adding in a surprising amount of additional damage. The better concave for Snoot there forces Roof back. Resources lost sees Snoot trading a lot more cost effectively. And remember, he's up in workers, so he's getting a bit more income. Specifically the gas. He's actually up on all 6 gases, whereas for the moment, Roof only sitting on 4. 1 at the third, 1 at the main, 2 at the natural. That small gas lead actually becomes quite substantial, especially when you start looking at the infestors. And if you recall back to game number 1, it was really the infestors that Snoot drove home to get that victory. The fungal growths, devastating, incredibly powerful. And if Snoot's able to replicate the success he had with infestors in game 1 here, Roof needs to find a way around that. Needs to switch things up. One of those ways he could get switched up on is no infestors and actually going swarm host. Well, Snoot, of course, he is one of the kings of swarm host play. Him and Stefano wrecking the EU ladder with wave upon wave of locusts. But you know what? It worked really quite nicely for him. And in this sort of position where he's kind of turtled up a bit, wanting to be sieging up on his opponent, it works nice. And the reason it works nice is because the locusts can just come through here. And then Snoot only really has to worry about this top path. And that's going to be a lot harder to try and make work. Snoot bows up those swarm hosts though. Going to be sending the locusts forward. And this is a lot of units for free. It's a lot of damage output. They'll really swing the tide of this battle. Snoot up substantially in overall supply. And that was a very cost-effective trade for Snoot. Both players with a +2 attack, but Snute with a +1 armor as well. And while on Roach, that isn't too helpful, obviously having that additional armor on the Locusts can really help things out. Waiting now to see where they're going to be going. More Swarm Hosts coming through. That'll take Snute up to 17. He's already kind of at that critical mass of Swarm Hosts where they just become this tide that's nigh on unstoppable. And the trouble is, as a Zerg player, you have difficulties against Swarm Hosts. And what we actually see coming from Roof is just, I'm going to make a ton of Banelings because Locusts are light and try and end this quickly. I've got detection. If I kill these Swarm Hosts off, Snute is in a massively tough spot. In come these Banelings now. They're going to be going for the detonations. The first few waves hit nicely. All of the Locusts taken out very, very quickly. A lot more of these Swarm Hosts are going to go down. Beautiful play by Roof. Using those Banelings precisely how they should be. Pushing forward, more damage coming through. The Overseers granting vision of those burrowed units, allowing the Swarm Hosts to get sniped. A few more do burrow up though. Snute will hold for now. He's up by around 14 army supply, not by much, but remember the Locusts, they keep on coming. And because the Banelings that were required to take that trade are so gas heavy, Roof can't keep replicating that. He blew pretty much all of his gas bank pumping out those Banelings. It was kind of like that sweeping wind move you go for. Very similar to when Protoss players with Storms try to beat Swarm Hosts. If you just go, okay, I kill a wave of Locusts, then go. And yeah, Roof, he killed a wave of Locusts, and then he went. But Snute was able to still hold off. Doing that a second time is going to be harder, because Snute's now going to be prepared for it. He's going to be thinking about his composition. He's already got Pathogen Glands on its way, so we should be seeing some Infestors shortly. And upgrade-wise, they're both level. Snute, though, he's going up into Hive. Couple more Roaches trying to sneak away through, but it's actually from the back of the third where damage is being done. Couple of workers killed, only 2. Nothing super sizable. Every unit killed by these Locusts is free. It's a completely cost-effective trade, and that's what Snute's gunning for, is to just wear down his opponent's resources. I like the response by Roof. He's keeping on the pressure and taking a 4th. Basically trying to send a spot where he can go, alright, you're going to be cost-effective, but your army's quite immobile actually, so if I expand, you can't easily move up here without leaving your third or natural exposed. This is the correct 4th base for Snute to take though. It means that he can move his Locusts forward, and as long as he keeps these spines up towards the back, he should be safe from any kind of move around. Forward come the Locusts, forward come these Roaches, but it's actually Roof sneaking on by underneath. Where is the detection? I'll tell you where. Not here. In they come. Tunneling Claw Roaches sneaking on by. Sneaky, sneaky. Quick little bit of damage being done, but great fungal. Meanwhile, 4th base is getting attacked. Snute coming back to try and defend this. Chain Fungals need to be keeping coming down on those Roaches. Good damage being done now. The 4th is taking quite a bit of damage, but with the Swarm Hosts there, if they re-rally, should be able to defend this. Simultaneously, there's Roaches in the main, in the natural. They're everywhere. This burrow tech is being used beautifully by Roof, and he's just overall rushing through the economy of Snute anywhere and everywhere he can. The Infestation Pit being targeted, remember, that's critical to getting these Swarm Hosts out, getting the Infestors out. That is so paramount to Snute's strategy. Down it goes, good pick off there, and Snute now can't make any more Swarm Hosts. He cannot make anything more in the way of additional Infestors. And with all of that coming through, you run into some problems. So, in we go. Nice, another Council coming on Snute's 4th. Nice play by Roof. Able to take that down. Very good play by him there. He's got his own 4th up. He's adding in a macro hatch, and that means that he's got great production. He's got a much better income now than Snute because of that 4th. Resources lost as well. That's where the problem comes there. Snute's and Swarm Hosts are just doing such a good job of this. Still though, Roof trying to work through them, doing a good job. Unfortunately, the Spines plus the rest of the Locusts doing a lot of damage. Only 9 Swarm Hosts remain though, and for the moment, no Infestation Pit. It's only just now being remade. And this is the problem for Snute, because swarm hosts are only effective when they're more sizable in number. Add in the quick little tech switch to muters, and Snooty's in a lot of trouble. Roof moves in now, and as we can see, there's 24 muters here. The infestor energy isn't that high. He can't make more. There's only 4 infestors on the field. The queens are the only other anti-air. Emergency spore crawlers getting made, but there's just so many mutalisks. The swarm hosts are completely useless against this. Down goes the infestors. Beautiful stuff being done now by Roof. Snoot's in a lot of trouble. He's having to base race. Can he do it in time? 2 swarm hosts, spore crawlers doing a lot of damage, working down a lot of these mutalisks. But Snoop, he's counter-attacking. He's getting a lot of damage done too. He's sitting there, and GG's cold. And the reason that GG was cold, I want to go over this a bit more, just for anyone wondering. Because there's so many roaches, the swarm hosts, the mutalisk flock was just getting destroyed by all of these spores. There was no way to deal with that many spore crawlers. All the bases were covered, and there was nothing to deal with the roaches. So congratulations there to Snute. That was a ridiculously close game, and he played it amazingly. Well done to him. He wins 2-1, €50 and a spot in the monthly finals.